Re-evaluating Social Science Through the Lived Realities of Individuals. By Boris Kriger. Published in the Common Sense World. Abstract. Sociology has traditionally centered on studying social structures, institutions, and processes, often prioritizing macro-level analysis over the subjective experiences of individuals. This article critically examines the limitations of conventional sociological approaches, arguing that their detachment from personal experience results in theoretical models that fail to capture the realities of human life. The divide between sociology and psychology further exacerbates this issue, as the former abstracts individuals into system components while the latter focuses on internal experiences without adequately addressing societal structures. The consequences of this detachment manifest in ineffective social reforms, policies that neglect individual well-being, and a persistent legacy of bureaucratic governance that prioritizes systemic functionality over human happiness. By integrating psychological insights with sociological analysis, researchers can develop a more holistic approach that not only describes social mechanisms but also considers their impact on emotions, perception, and overall quality of life. This article argues for a shift in sociological methodology away from impersonal structural models and toward a focus on the individual as the central unit of analysis. Introduction. Sociology, as a discipline, has long been concerned with the study of social structures, institutions, and the forces that shape collective life. From Emile Durkheim's functionalist perspectives to Karl Marx's analysis of class struggle, sociological theory has traditionally emphasized systemic forces over individual experience. While this approach has led to valuable insights into how societies function, it has also resulted in a critical oversight, the failure to adequately incorporate the lived realities of individuals into social analysis. The detachment of sociology from individual experience creates a paradox. Despite studying society, it often neglects the people who constitute it. Theories of power, capitalism, and bureaucracy describe mechanisms of social control and organization, but they rarely address how individuals personally experience these structures. This gap between theory and lived reality is not merely an academic issue, it has profound implications for policymaking and social reforms. Policies designed to enhance efficiency or economic growth frequently overlook their psychological and emotional impact on individuals, leading to increased stress, alienation, and resistance to reform. This article critically examines the limitations of traditional sociology, arguing that it must integrate a more person-centered approach to remain relevant. By incorporating psychological insights and prioritizing subjective experience, sociology can bridge the gap between theoretical models and human reality. Definitions. Sociology: the study of social structures, institutions, and processes that shape human interactions and societies. Psychology: the study of the human mind, emotions, and behaviors, often focusing on individual experiences and cognitive processes. Structural analysis: a sociological approach that examines how social structures, e.g., laws, institutions, economic systems, influence individuals and groups. Subjective experience: the personal, lived reality of an individual, including emotions, perceptions, and personal interpretations of social conditions. Bureaucracy: a formal organizational structure characterized by hierarchical authority, standardized procedures, and impersonal relationships. Historical context: the legacy of structural thinking in sociology. The origins of sociology in the 19th century coincided with the rise of industrialization, urbanization, and the development of large-scale bureaucratic states. Early sociologists like Durkheim and Max Weber sought to understand these transformations by identifying patterns in social organization and institutional behavior. However, their emphasis on system-level analysis set a precedent for subsequent sociological research, prioritizing the study of institutions over the experiences of individuals. For example, Weber's concept of rationalization describes the increasing dominance of bureaucratic efficiency in modern societies, but it does not fully address how individuals emotionally respond to bureaucratic environments. Similarly, Durkheim's studies on suicide identified social integration and regulation as key factors, yet his analysis remained at the level of statistical correlations rather than exploring personal narratives. Marx's sociology, while centered on class struggle, also tends to reduce individuals to economic categories rather than considering their psychological realities. The persistence of these traditions has led to a sociological discipline that often treats individuals as passive components of larger systems rather than as autonomous beings with unique experiences. This methodological bias has significant consequences for both academic research and real-world policymaking. Theoretical framework, integrating psychology and sociology. To address the limitations of traditional sociology, this article proposes a theoretical framework that integrates psychological insights with sociological analysis. This approach recognizes that while social structures shape human behavior, individuals also actively interpret and react to these structures in ways that cannot be captured solely through statistical or structural models. Several psychological theories provide valuable insights into how people experience social systems. Cognitive appraisal theory, Lazarus, 1991, suggests that individuals assess situations based on personal relevance and emotional impact. This means that two people may experience the same social policy, e.g., unemployment benefits, in vastly different ways based on their psychological resilience and expectations. Self-determination theory, Dutch Ryan, 1985, emphasizes the role of autonomy, competence, and relatedness in human motivation. Social policies that prioritize economic efficiency over individual autonomy may inadvertently reduce overall well-being. Learned helplessness, Seligman, 1975, explains how repeated exposure to uncontrollable negative events leads to passivity and depression. Bureaucratic inefficiency and impersonal governance may contribute to learned helplessness in citizens who feel powerless in the face of systemic barriers. By incorporating these psychological perspectives, sociologists can develop a more nuanced understanding of how social structures impact individuals on an emotional and cognitive level. Consequences of overlooking individual experience. The neglect of individual experience in sociological research and policymaking has tangible consequences. Ineffective social reforms. Many policy changes are implemented based on macro-level goals such as economic growth or institutional efficiency, without considering their effects on individual well-being. For example, increasing work hours may boost productivity but also lead to higher rates of burnout and stress. Resistance to change. Social reforms often fail because they do not align with how individuals experience their daily lives. Policies that impose top-down changes without understanding subjective realities are more likely to be met with opposition. Alienation and psychological distress. Sociological models that ignore emotions contribute to social environments that prioritize function over happiness. The rise of anxiety and depression in modern societies may be linked to systemic pressures that have not been adequately analyzed through an individual-centered lens. Future directions, toward a more human-centered sociology. To overcome these limitations, sociology must shift its focus in several key ways. Adopting qualitative methods. While quantitative research remains valuable, more emphasis should be placed on ethnography, interviews, and case studies that capture personal narratives. Cross-disciplinary collaboration. Sociologists should work more closely with psychologists to integrate emotional and cognitive dimensions into social research. Policy evaluation. Through subjective metrics instead of assessing policies purely through economic indicators, governments should measure subjective well-being, life satisfaction, and mental health outcomes. Conclusion. Sociology, in its current form, often fails to capture the complexities of human life because it prioritizes systemic analysis over individual experience. This limitation has real-world implications, leading to social reforms that overlook psychological well-being and policies that fail to resonate with people's lived realities. By integrating insights from psychology and prioritizing subjective experience, sociology can evolve into a more human-centered discipline, one that not only describes social structures but also understands how they are felt and experienced by the people who live within them. Only through such an approach can social science truly serve its purpose, improving human life, rather than merely analyzing it from a distance. References. Dech, E. L. Ryan, R. M. 1985. Intrinsic Motivation and Self-Determination in Human Behavior. Springer. Lazarus, R. S. 1991. Emotion and Adaptation. Oxford University Press. Seligman, M. E. P. 1975. Helplessness, on Depression, Development, and Death. Freeman. Weber, M. 1922. Economy and Society, An Outline of Interpretive Sociology. University of California Press. Durkheim, E. 1897. Suicide, A Study in Sociology. The Free Press.